Hey guys, it's Nean again, and I am bringing you some more StarCraft 2 from Bronze League, and this is episode 2. It is me versus another Terran again. Well, I say again for the second time, and I am the blue Protoss, and Thomo, the Terran, is he's in the red down here. Because it's ladder map, we don't have cross spawns. So we've got quite a short distance from main to main, and we've got quite a short distance from main to natural or main to third, depending. Well, it's actually so close that I can't remember if this is the map that allows if I put a pylon there, and if I put a pylon there, if I can actually bridge the gap. But fairly standard openings. I put down my pylon at 9 of 10. He puts his supply depot down at 9 of 10. And we go. We're both training SCVs. Well, I train probes, he trains SCVs. But we're both training units, so he just stops. And if you look at the income, I've got more income at the moment because all my probes are mining. And now we've got pretty much equal. But if we look at the units tab, I've got one more probe than him because he went for a slightly early barracks than I went for a gateway. And of course, one of the advantages of Protoss is that you can have all of your probes mining. You don't have to set one aside for construction or two aside for construction as he's had to do here. So that's one of the perks of Protoss. With Zerg, of course, you lose the drone forever, unless you're deliberately making one and cancelling that to oversupply, which is quite a neat little trick, but I frown upon it slightly because I'm a bit iffy with using it. But I don't play Zerg, I play Protoss, so that's a bit of an aside. Gateway's going to complete shortly, and his barracks, and he's just put down an engineering bay. Now, one of the strange things that I noticed already is that his barracks, which is here, isn't there, which is odd because if I'd actually bothered to scout. I didn't scout this map. I actually forgot, and it's quite common for me to forget to scout, but luckily quite a lot of builds are similar to each other. Like if it's a Zerg, I always go for my sort of Zerg rush defense. If it's Terran, I always go for a more turtley build, because it's very unusual they just decide to go and rush with Marines, because I can easily have a Zealot out there in time. My Cybercore's gone down, immediately started Warp Gate, and yes, there is a Zealot on the way. I have started an expansion at my natural as well, and I am still one drone ahead of him. I attempt to stay at least one drone ahead of him at every point, even though I can't see how many drones he has. It's one of the things that I strive to do, because if you're ahead in minerals, it's much easier for you to remax after a large battle, and this generally makes life easier. So he's now walled off with 3 supply depots, which is slightly, well, it's not really strange, because if you lower all 3, then you can get more units out quicker than if you had just like 1 or 2. But he's got 2 Marines out as well, and factory going down with Tech Lab. Nothing happening in the engineering bay, but if we go to production, he's got getting the orbital command out, and another SCV. I'm getting warp gate and 2 more. I added 2 more gateways on at this point because I decided I got quite a big excess of supply of minerals, and having more production is always good, especially if he was going harass, he would probably have done it by now. But moves out with 2 of those because he saw my scouting probe, and normally this is very sensible from him actually. When you see a scouting probe, you normally think proxy pylon. I didn't actually in this case. I just went in to just see what his wall was like, and I knew I could bust down there with because they don't have as much health. They have a fourth of the health of barracks, but I decided not to because my probe was destroyed, so I did know he had Marines. So going in with pure Zealot would be a bit suicidal. But I just wait it out for a bit because he's not attacking, and I go up to 25 probes to 20 and two mules. So if you look at the income tab, we're roughly equal on gas, and I'm actually we're roughly equal on both, even though I have the upper hand. And now one of the mules has failed. I've definitely got the upper hand. So if I now start building a Stargate, because it's fairly common for me to get 2 Stargates up and running, so that if sort of anything does happen, I can easily go into quite an air heavy build, because I found that I'm quite weak on my microing from ground versus in the ground versus Terran. I'm much better with air against Terran, unless he does what he's done at the moment, which is he's basically spent a ton of money on, I think I looked at the replay just straight after the match, because I wanted to know how many missile turrets he had. I think I counted 14, and he started putting them in crazy places. Like he had one there, he had one at the gold, he had one up here. So he really went over the top, and he didn't have to do it, because those 3 turrets, they'll all be overlapping, and if I just see one missile turret, it will be enough to deter me from going Void Ray Harass unless I've got millions of them. I do actually intend to go for the Phoenix Harass, see the turrets, decide better of it, because I don't especially want to get them taken out. He also goes for the 3 siege tanks covering the ramp, well, both ramps really, which is quite a good play. But I'd have thought that he'd have had one of them down here, because then you've got you've got coverage coming from both sides, and it will also sort of stop me from hiding units down here, because if I go onto his cam, he can't see me down there at the moment until he builds that missile turret. But yeah, so far we've got that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 going to be there, 13, 14. So that's 14 at the moment. And I actually managed to get 2 probes here, well not probes, but 2 SCVs here. Stop them from finishing off those 2 missile turrets. And the funny thing is, he actually thinks that missile turret's built, and it never gets completed. It's a bit of a spoiler, but it's not really that big of a spoiler. But I've got 2 Void Rays out anyway, because I found them to be pretty effective if he decides to bring out Marauders. And in the if I just destroy the missile turrets, I will just bring them in. And I've got a gateway that's now transforming to warp gate, so at the moment I've got a standard 4 gate, and I'm going for 1-1. Whereas he's making more missile turrets and more bunkers. And income, it's 3. I am quadruple his income at the moment in minerals. So if you just look at the graph, well, not really graph, but and I'm ahead of him in army supply as well. I'm 59 of 108, he's 39 of 43. So I think his mentality was that he's had Mass Void Ray used on him so many times, he's not going to let Mass Void Ray ruin him again, to the detriment of his other play. So he's got the 14 watchtowers in addition to 2 Vikings, and he's got 2 starports, both with reactors, and guess what they're training? Vikings. He ends up with a ton of massed Vikings, and when I've got an army of mainly stalkers, they just don't survive because they can't shoot the stalkers. But he's getting ship weapons. He's not bothered to get anything at the engineering bay. He's not producing any marines or any ground units. In fact, he's just got 2 marines sitting down here just biding time. I've got, it was originally I think it was originally 2 warp-in rounds, so that's 8 stalkers. I foolishly decided to go in. I already knew those siege tanks there because they fired at me when I came in, but I thought I might be able to out-micro them, but no. 2 void rays waiting there, just making sure that there's no medevac drop, because I haven't actually got a chance to scout around in his base yet, because sentry missile turrets are detectors, and I can't send an observer in. He's adding on another starport, and I'm finishing up 1-1. Well, not finishing up, but just starting armor 1, and I'm getting a warp prism out, so I could try some warp prism harass if possible, or just have a general pylon there acting as a proxy pylon, or just generally transfer troops around the battlefield, because I can't warp in immortals, and it's slightly quicker to use a warp prism than to just warp in immortals. So I've added on a robo. Obviously, otherwise I won't be able to get a warp prism, and because he hasn't rushed yet, I'm beginning to think Cloak Banshee, so I've dumped down a pylon and photon cannon in my mineral line there. So this has actually got a tech lab on, so at the moment it looks as though he's definitely going to go into Cloak Banshee, but he lifts his factory up for no apparent reason. I haven't actually seen this on the replay. I actually quit the replay by this point because I didn't want to spoil what he'd done for myself, but he just picked it up and landed it again for no apparent reason. I think he was getting slightly bored of actually doing, like, sort of making any units of any value, because I know he's got Vikings, because I almost shot one down earlier. So I have stalkers, which are extremely good against Vikings. So he starts to wall off his natural with supply depots, and a lot of them. I think he used 6 supply depots in the end. I'm just thinking how, because it takes 3 there, possibly 2 there, 1 there, 6 or 7 supply depots anyway. So personally, I would have put a bunker in the middle, probably where those 2 supply depots are, and had marines. Well, actually no, because it's mostly stalkers. I'd have had a couple of marines, couple of marauders in there, and he's building yet another missile turret, even though he can see that I've got stalkers. I know that's my view. He can see that I've got a couple of stalkers there, and he can see that I've got quite a few stalkers there. And there's the Banshee. Is Cloak on the way? Yes, Cloak's on the way. So Cloak Banshee's going to be coming up, and I've got quite a few stalkers now. I have 14 stalkers. So yeah, that's the 4th supply depot. He lands his Vikings because, well, he lands 12 of his Vikings, keeps 3 in the air just in case I do support. I do need to, well, just in case he does need to take down a warp prism, which he will have to do in order to stop that attack. But I have started adding on a ton more gateways. I've basically decided, no, I'm not going to bother with a massive air battle. It's not worth the resources because he's got quite good anti-air and he's got a ton of Vikings. So I get 5 more gateways, so I've got a total of 9 gateways now. So I can just, even after a minor battle, I can remax easily. And if we check the probe count, I'm ahead by a factor of, well, not a factor, but I'm ahead by 10. And yeah, he's not got any infantry other than these 2 marines, who are probably feeling quite lonely. They've only got each other for company down in the corner of the map there. And I'm not sure what someone just shot at, but, well, whatever that was, I'm sure it was very important. Oh, I just realised that I've missed one of the main battles while I was blethering on. in summary, those Banshees decided to come and kill my Stalker army along with a ton of Vikings, and they took them all out. I actually tried to do the elevator micro with my Immortals, but it failed after both of them were in the warp prism at the same time, and basically a Viking one-shotted it. Well, I say one-shotted it, it was already down at like 10% health anyway. So that was a pretty stupid decision of me. But the cloak just finished all my Stalkers off because I wasn't paying attention, just like I wasn't paying attention to the battle. So I've got a couple of observers in the mix with my main army, and I begin warping in a ton of units. Because what better is there to do when you've got 3,500 minerals, 500 gas, and about 50 supply remaining before you max out 140, and I will actually take it up to the full 200 eventually when I need to. So I've now got double forge, and I'm going for 2-2. So I will get shields level 2 because it's not just ground units that I've got. I've also got a bit of air support, because air support's always useful, especially when going up against Banshees, which can't fight in, well, they fight in the air, but they can't fight air units. I've decided to arrange my pylons like that because why not? It's highly unlikely that he would get up into there unless he had quite a big army, and I was just completely failing at stopping that army. But 2-2, charge is on the way, blink's already completed, so I'm already at 1-1-1. No, not the Terran build, the upgrades, and he's going very air heavy. And I thought that he would have realised that he's just defeated a whole army of Stalkers. I would have thought that he would have thought, oh, I'm going up against Stalkers, I'd better produce some Marauders. But no, here comes another starport, and probably some more Vikings. So at the moment, this guy's probably just consigned himself to doom. Barracks is doing completely nothing. That sentence didn't even make sense. That's how... I don't know what the adjective is for that. But he's checking that I've not got anything at the Zelnaga Tower, or that I've not got anything there. And he starts to build the 15th missile turret. Yes, 15. 1,500 minerals of uselessness. All that it did was make me change my build to one that would just, well, not really change my build at all. It just made me sort of change my unit composition from probably being quite Void Ray and Phoenix heavy to being pretty much Stalkers. And then I throw a few Zealots into the mix, because it's good to have some chargelets for if he does have any infantry, because I still can't scout in here, because those Vikings, how many are there? 18 Vikings. I think there's some more down here. No. But, yeah, 18 Vikings, and 6 Banshees. Banshees are all hovering around the gold expansion, because he doesn't know where I am, I've just remembered. If I just check his view. No, he doesn't know where I am. So, he doesn't know that I am literally a stone's throw away. However, I haven't seen his expansion because I haven't been this way for a while. But I build my third there because first pretty much got nothing in it anymore. Second, well, my naturals being mined out, I've got 405 there, 310 there, 640 there, and a few others. But the mineral field there has been completely gone. Well, it's completely gone. And I'm just warping in a ton of chargelets now. And my armies, if we go to army supply, it's nicer on the HUD version. Switch that back to units. Army supply, I've got 136 to his 80, and I've got more workers than him, so at the moment my macro is looking to be much better than his. However, he does have 6 mules, so if we look at the minerals, he's getting way more mineral income than me, but that's thanks to his 6 mules up there. However, I am getting more gas than him, which is strange because he's gone for a very tech-heavy build, whereas I haven't. So, well, the only real tech-heavy thing I have in my army is these 4 void rays and a couple of phoenixes. Stalkers, I could probably do that many stalkers off just 2 gas, possibly 3 gas. But then the only real other tech heavy thing that I've actually got in my composition at the moment is 2-2. Well, 2-2-2. But he's going for ship plating, so it's going to probably be fairly similar upgrades by the end of it. But yeah, he's 1-2 at the moment. I'm going up to 2-2-2. I'm 2-1-3 at the moment. I have actually managed to get 3 out, and I am now able to fully max up to the 200 army supply. And this will... He's not got that much defense here. He's just got all these banshees, which is all 11 of them. That's actually that's actually 9. He's probably got some more over here. Yes, he's got 2 left over there. So I just want to see what he's seeing. So if I go to his camera, and check APM. Yeah, he's not playing very quickly at all. I'm going at 45, 44 APM, so it's Bonds League APM. It's nothing to get too excited about, but I find it interesting nonetheless. Just I decided to get sentries in case I come up against a mass marine army, which is unlikely, but it's happened before when they've tried to metagame, put tons of missile turrets out. I sort of metagamed here by putting 2 stargates, so he'd think that I would be going Void Ray Rush. And I do actually have the option to go Void Ray Rush. I've got enough minerals and enough gas for it, but I didn't because he had the sheer number of well, missile towers and Vikings. He is now up to a humongous 25 Vikings, which I don't think I've ever seen in ever. But I'm just going around with my observer, checking that he has no secondary mains. And here we go. I go up. He tries to cloak. I've got observers, so I can see his banshees, and they just drop. I'm not even using all my stalkers. And here go the Thors to take out my air support, but he really needed to drop them down, because with 2 phoenixes and 4 void rays and a million stalkers, they just drop like flies. And as from the APM, I'll switch it to the army supply, which is a better indication. I'm now double his army supply, using the chargelets to take down missile turrets. And I'm leaving some of my air support units slightly behind so that they don't get taken down by the missile turret there, or the remaining Vikings. And yeah, at the moment I'm not producing anything because I don't really need to be honest. I mean, I've got way more army than him in the form of a ton of stuff. I blink over the barrier, which allows me to get this group of hardy commando stalkers to take down his 2 tanks that he had there, and those Vikings just fall instantly when he realizes that, oh, he doesn't actually have any air left, which leaves the Terran player looking as though he's got quite a bit of egg on his face. And I just start taking out his depots so that he can't remax. He raises his depots there, but not really much point to that. He's got turrets there, so I just blink all my stalkers over here. And there's a couple of stalkers getting low on health, so I just focus on taking down these probes for a bit. I'll let that chargelet go over there and kill supply depots. It's always good to kill off supply depots, mainly because, yeah, it stops them remaxing. So, these zealots are over here, distracting those 3 tanks, which leaves me the ability to waltz up this ramp with my stalkers, which I didn't actually do, but I could have just walked up the ramp, blinked over there, and gone for broke with the blink, and just did a complete all-in. However, it's not an all-in because I could probably get at least nope, I can't do the math. But I would probably get a fair bit of fair few more stalkers out of that, probably almost remax, and take that missile turret's not really much of a worry for 2 void rays. It's when there's 2 or more that I start to panic usually, but that void ray almost gets taken out, survives with 6 health remaining, and that is leaving the game. Again, no GG, but I understand his frustration. He picked completely the wrong build to go up against, and a build that I see as being quite adaptive against Terran. It's simple. Well, I can't remember the exact timings other than 9 pylon 12 gateway, which just means that you've got an extremely flexible opening. But I'm no expert in this matters, which is why I'm still in Bronze League. However, I did log on this morning and find that I was first in Bronze League, in my division of Bronze League, with a measly 550 points, I think. No, 525 points. But anyway, I've not actually got Shields level 3. I just didn't see the point. Well, I forgot about it mainly, but even if I had got Shields, even if I had bothered, Shields level 3 wouldn't have been that important in the grand scheme of things. My main has been completely and utterly mined out. Robo, but the main thing is the adaptability of the 9 pylon 12 gateway, and then 9 pylon 12 gateway, 14 assimilator, and then as soon as the gateway finishes, go straight for the cyber core, because then you should have collected enough gas from one of the assimilators to go straight into gateway, and then at 16 it's a pylon and another assimilator. That's the way that I normally build it, but I do probes all the time, and again, it's highly adaptable. I can get a forge pretty much whenever, when I definitely know that I'm going up against a lot of ground units, I get forge, or I'm going to use a lot of ground units, I get forge, because I like, well, upgrades are always useful. If I'm going to go for a pure air build, which our friend Thomo the Terran, not to be confused with Thomas the Tank Engine, but well, actually no, I suppose he did have quite a few tanks, so I could probably call him Thomas the Tank Engine quite cynically. But air upgrades, I got air 2 because I thought I was going to go for quite a bit of Phoenix Harass, and then realised that I wasn't, which was a bit of a misspend, but not really too bad in the scheme of things when I end up with 6,000 leftover resources. 2 gateways because why not, and 2 forges because 2's quicker than 1. I'm able to get 1 quicker, I'm able to get 2 quicker, I'm able to get 3 quicker. And then since I knew I was going to go pure stalkers, I got not pure stalkers, but stalker chargelet, stalker zealot. I decided to go blink stalker chargelet because blink, as we saw in the final encounter, was extremely useful at getting over the hurdles here and getting over the hurdles here. And if the game had lasted about another 10 seconds, both that supply depot and that supply depot would have been demolished. But I finished on 55 army supply to his 12. His army supply barely got over, I think it barely got over 60, and even then it wasn't an ideal unit composition. If you're going to go Vikings, you need ground support, because although you may think that you can quickly adapt between air and ground, it's not that quick, because if with my void rays, if he'd decided to convert his Vikings to ground and do a frontal assault, I'd have just void raided him, It's a verb. I'd have void raided him, and that would have just completely decimated his Vikings on the ground. And if he'd gone for Vikings in the air, he wouldn't have done anything because all my buildings were on the ground, no matter how much they look as though they're hovering. So I think that wraps up today's episode foray. I didn't in the end use any of my sentries because there was no mass marine push. I suppose I could have used a couple of guardian shields, but I completely forgot about my sentries. But yeah, he ended up with 5 starports. Normally I wouldn't expect to see 3, let alone 5. And only 1 barracks. So he's got... and 2 armories. I'm not sure why he went for 2 armories, though I suppose it's the same really as me going for double forge. But anyway, this episode has gone on for a bit too long. Oh no, yep, he's got 2 more, so that brings the total missile turret count up to 17 before I'd started destroying them all. So 1700 wasted minerals. He could have spent that on a proper army. But anyway, yes, I think this episode's definitely gone on for a bit too long. You're probably all bored of hearing my voice. And I will see you next time.